But ideal team player, Lencioni talks all about it in the Ideal Team Player book, but what would be Ben White's ideal team player description? I'll put you on the spot here. If you're looking for leaders on your team, what characteristics, values, things like that are you looking for?
Yeah, well, and I love that book, by the way. And I have, like, for every interview I've done since I've been here, probably for the last 5 years, I've asked 2 of his questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I always ask, how hard did you work as a teenager? What annoys you about people? And how do you deal with them?
Yeah.
I think there's like, how do you handle giving and receiving apologies? And like, I know that in the interview, people aren't expecting that. Like, they came into an interview, like, talk about my recruiting experience. And I'm like, how do you say sorry?
Yeah.
And they're like, what? So I said, but for me, I look for hardworking.
Yeah.
I want people who are motivated and driven, and I want good teammates. I want people who can compete with you, but be genuinely happy for you to succeed.
Yes,
Come on. Those are really important to me, because I think as a leader, you need to choose the right people.
Yep.
You need to equip them, and then you need to create an environment in which they want to stay. And if you don't have good teammates, it is going to be really hard to create an environment in which people want to stay. Like, virtually impossible, because you could do all the right things, but you have a couple people who are just really poor teammates by whatever your definition is, it's going to complicate your life as a leader.
Well, I will just endorse you publicly on here, as I've reached out to some of your team members, and I've asked them, hey, would you consider doing this? Would you different things in our company over time, over the last year? Times people say, I wouldn't leave Ben White.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving his leadership. And then multiple layers down that as well for some of your direct reports.
Yeah.
Their direct reports, I'm like, hey, would you want to come and do this? Would you want to explore this? Would you want to apply for this position internally?
Yeah.
And the result, the response was, no, I'm not leaving so-and-so who reports to you. I'm like, golly, this goes deep. There's depth of culture, sort of subculture, or a depth of loyalty, depth of commitment to what you guys are doing there. And I know it's a part of the whole big picture as well. It's not like it's a separate company. But I'm like, oh man, do I feel proud of that? I think many leaders struggle to replicate or duplicate to multiple layers. Yeah. And that is something that if you can, as you say, take those values and actually pass them through the sort of sub-organization of what you're leading, amazing, amazing. What would you say is advice to somebody who goes, they're listening to that and they're like, I don't do that very well. How do I get better at this?
Creating an environment people want to exist in.
Like multiple layers down where people say, like your direct reports say, I wouldn't leave Ben. Their direct reports say, I wouldn't leave Derek or Tiffany or whatever. Their reports saying, I wouldn't leave this person. Like, that is...
Yeah, that's hard. There's not like hey, here's a line or two, and if you do these things, you could do that. But I think it starts with like choosing the right people, because leading is hard. Not everybody wants to be a leader. Mm-hmm. Some people are willing to step into the seat without actually having a passion for it. And I think that's step one, is you need people who genuinely care about it and care about their people. Because I think without that, there's no hope in getting that loyalty. So I think that's a huge part of it, is choosing the right people and again, kind of equipping them. And it's hard. It's hard. I think it would be hard to redo and do all over again. Yeah. Fun, but like it would be challenging. There's probably a lot that goes into it.
Totally. Well, if you were to start over again, I bet you'd be thinking real hard about what was it I did that was the secret sauce here? What are the ingredients to get me to where, that got me to where I was at? Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. If I reverse it, what are some of the things that you see in the non-ideal team player that maybe you're interviewing, or people who, I'm going to say, who are no longer with you? You're like, that's something that I do not appreciate, and if I could weed that out faster than anything, what would it be? Yeah, well, in some ways, I already have, like, for me, reverse done that, because I've looked at it and been like, okay, great teammates are a must. Yeah, because I feel like I've personally experienced that a little bit, and when like you have teammates who are not good teammates, like you just go, okay, not again, can't do that again, and I think that can manifest itself in different ways depending on the person. So it could be hard to spot, but when you see people making it all about themselves, for example, and like wanting to like pick themselves up when this opportunity to recognize somebody else, like that's a little thing, but I mean, that's a symptom, right? And there's probably a whole lot more you're not seeing in that moment, but that is certainly symptomatic of that type of behavior, in my opinion.